The small roadside restaurant had always been a haven for weary travelers, a place where the smell of freshly brewed coffee mingled with the sweet aroma of pies baking in the oven, and where conversations drifted amidst the clinking of cutlery and the soft whistle of the jukebox. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down. But that morning, time decided to stop completely, and for a reason that no one there would ever forget. A light rain fell outside, streaking the window panes. Inside, the Sunny's diner was almost empty. Emma had been serving tables since 6 in the morning, her white apron already stained with coffee and flour. The smile she usually gave each customer seemed forced that day. She hadn't slept well in weeks. She missed something, or perhaps someone, and the absence of Noah, her older brother, was a constant void in her heart. Since he left with the HELLS Angels, the house had become too quiet. But before nostalgia could turn to tears, laughter broke the air like thunder, loud, provocative, cruel. 3 men occupied the corner table, local drivers known for causing trouble when boredom became their companion. One of them, the tallest, had a sparse beard and eyes that showed he had never learned to respect anything. He stood up, walked to the counter, and stopped in front of Emma with a crooked smile. "Hey, darling," he said, resting his elbow on the counter. "A smile like that should be paid for twice over." She took a deep breath, trying to remain calm. "Would you like more coffee?" she asked, ignoring the suggestive tone. He leaned closer, bringing his face near hers. "I think I want more than just coffee." The laughter of the other 2 echoed. Emma took a step back, but he grabbed her arm. The sound of the apron tearing seemed to echo throughout the restaurant. Their laughter grew louder, filling the air with scorn. One of the customers looked up, but quickly returned to his meal, pretending not to see. Another simply lowered his head. Fear is a silence that spreads quickly. Emma tried to break free, her hands trembling. "Let go of me!" she shouted, but her voice was weak. He just laughed. "Calm down, sweetie. It's just a joke." But it was no joke. It was humiliation, the kind of wound that leaves no mark on the skin, but tears you apart inside. And just when she thought no one would come to her rescue, the familiar sound of the door opened. The bell rang, and a cold wind swept through the hall. 2 men entered. Both were wearing black leather jackets, with the unmistakable HELLS Angels symbol embroidered on the back. The air seemed to change density. The laughter ceased. The waiter stopped breathing. The sound of boots against the tile floor was slow, heavy, deliberate. The first was tall, with a thick beard and greying hairs at the temples. The second, bald and muscular, wore dark glasses despite the dim light. They didn't need to speak to dominate the space. The silence did that for them. Emma turned and, for a moment, forgot to breathe. The taller man looked at her, and time seemed to bend. That look, she knew it. Even after months, even after all the distance, she would recognize those eyes anywhere. Noah. He said nothing. He simply stared at the scene. His sister cornered, her apron torn, the bullies frozen between shame and fear. For a moment the world stopped spinning. The leader of the attackers tried to disguise his terror with a smile. "Hey, it's not what it looks like," he mumbled, taking a step back. Noah continued walking, each step measured, the sound of his boots echoing with an almost physical weight. The bald man behind him crossed his arms, watching in silence. When Noah stood before the bully, he didn't need to raise his voice. His gaze was enough. It was the look of someone who had seen the worst in the world and survived. "Apologize." The voice was deep, calm, and more threatening than any shout. The man swallowed hard. I was just kidding, man." "Ask," Noah repeated, his tone lower and colder. The bully looked at Emma. "Sorry, miss, She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Noah simply nodded, satisfied enough. Then he turned to his sister and took off his leather jacket, placing it over her shoulders. The heavy, warm fabric felt like a shield. "It's over, Em. Let's go home." Her tears came silently, mingled with a smile that was half relief, half disbelief. She hadn't seen her brother in almost a year. The same man who had left in search of freedom was now there, providing the shelter she so desperately needed. They left in silence. Outside, the rain had stopped, and the sky opened up in golden hues. Noah walked ahead, the sound of the chains on his jacket mingling with the wind. His partner stood in the doorway for a moment, watching the quiet bullies. "You should be more careful about what you call a joke," he muttered before leaving. When the roar of the motorcycles echoed, the restaurant fell silent. The customers could finally breathe again, but something had changed. The fear that had previously dominated the atmosphere had given way to something different, respect, perhaps. Emma climbed onto the back of the gleaming Harley. Noah handed her the helmet, and before putting his own on, looked her in the eyes. "I told you I'd never let the world break you." She smiled. "And I told you that you couldn't live running away from him." He chuckled softly, the sound mingling with the engine's rumble. "I guess we're even then." The motorcycle came to life, roaring like thunder, announcing the calm after the storm. As they descended the winding road, Emma glanced back. The restaurant sign still shone faintly, and inside, the men who had been laughing now seemed too small. The wind cut across her face, but it didn't hurt. It was freedom. And deep down, Emma understood that strength wasn't about never needing help. It was about having someone who would come even when the whole world turned its back on you. The road stretched out ahead, endless. The sun reflected off the chrome of the motorcycle, and the sound of the engine resembled a heartbeat. She rested her head on her brother's back, closed her eyes, and smiled. Because sometimes destiny arrives like this, on two wheels, in black leather and in silence. And when it arrives, it changes everything. And if this story made you believe that goodness still exists, share it, comment, tell someone. Because the world needs to remember that even the hardest hearts can be a refuge for those who need it most. And sometimes the true guardian angel comes with the name HELLS angels stitched on their back.